and we're going to look at unity. And one of the things that you may think of automatically coming out of Olympic season is, what do athletes have to do with unity? We're just here to perform, give of our best, do what we have to do. But that's the question that I'm going to leave you with. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to answer it, but I'm going to give you a lot of food for thought. So a little bit about me. We would have mentioned the Olympics in 1996. I had the privilege to get a little taste of what that was like. And it was such a thrill of excitement to hear your name announced in the 5 athletes that were going to be going there. And to say that I was over the moon is an understatement. It was an absolute honor. And one thing about the Olympics is that for me, it was a different experience than what it was for many people. Now, I had the opportunity to take part in a practice meet, which would have been before the actual event itself, and all exuberant and excited. Even though it was raining cats and dogs, I went blazing down that runway, trying to stay sharp before my event, which was going to be a week later. And lightning had started, and they made a decision that I was going to be the last jumper. And as I hit that board to take off, seeing myself in the next week being with the best of the best, tragedy struck. I hit that board, it was wet, my foot slipped, and I tore my hamstring in 3 places. And as I crumpled in the ground into the sand and saw at that point in time the stadium clearing out, I was like, how could this be over? Here I was at the highest point of my life and the lowest point at the exact same time. But what I was grateful for is that even though I know that you run out of tears after 2 days, even though I didn't eat for 2 days, weeping may endure for a night, but we athletes know joy always comes in the morning. And in spite of that, I still had the opportunity to be in the Olympic Village. The toughest part for me, and I smile seeing you here, Erskine, because he was with me through it all, he had to help me make the call to the parents. How do you call your parents at the highest point and tell them it's over? And as we know, these are things that you may experience as an athlete, but the beauty of being able to stay in the village while the Olympics went on is that it taught me so much. I got the opportunity to see firsthand how, in spite of the world falling apart, anybody knows about the world falling apart right now? Does it seem so sometimes? Anybody like me stop watching news for a little bit just by a show of hands? Can you? Okay? No, the world is in utter chaos. Whether we're not peeping at what's going on in Gaza, we're seeing something going on in Ukraine, we're seeing drama. It's too much. But sports. The beauty of the Olympic Games and any high-level event is that, y'all remember what COVID did to us? Anybody remembers the trauma that was COVID? By a show of hands, did anybody remember? Anybody got any hands? Okay. I remember it as traumatic because at the exact same time, the entire world came to a standstill. The entire world then realized, I like human contact as much as I didn't like human contact. The entire world realized, I like communication. The entire world at the exact same time realized what the void of unity physically felt like. But then we come to sports. And we as athletes often take part in it, blissfully just trying to execute our best performance, etc. But then we have to ask ourselves, do we have a role to play? And what I'm going to do is expose you to 3 different aspects of what unity is, first of all. And then we're going to answer the question as to, we got something to do with this? Is that all right? So let's look at social interaction. When we think of unity, we think social interaction. I remember being in my teens, man, and when Bubbles was kicking, I in there squeeze up on a little step in a corner watching a basketball match. Now, the old folks over on this side, they remember too, but they want make it look too obvious. And I was cheering for my team, and guess what? People that I didn't know that had on the same colors as me, we were friends for the afternoon. You understand? If a super point, a three-pointer was thrown, we were high-fiving. Well, I didn't know your name, but we're buddies. And then there's a unity just in a game of basketball for that one afternoon. And then I don't need to tell you all about football. Oh, my goodness. I am tired of hearing I am Man U, I am Tottenham, I am, I'm Arsenal, I'm an Arsenal boss, and then you got your things hanging from your car. Oh, my goodness, you have never even been to some of these cities. But yet you have all the paraphernalia in the world. Why? Because there's something about identifying with others that just brings joy to your life. And then it breaks down barriers. It surely does break down barriers when people unite with a common goal. You haven't wondered why NBC they always do it. They can't just show you the Olympics. They can't just show you the World Championships. They have to share how she was raised with horses and she, woke up and she trained 8 hours a day and then she took out the sheep in the afternoon. Why? They want you to unite with her in some form or fashion so that when she's doing her thing as a gymnast, a gymnast, you are there clapping and rooting for her. There's a science to this thing, right? So pay attention whenever we watch on the big network screens what's going on with sport. They pull you in because it helps break down barriers. You're able to support people because you identify with something about them. So that's one aspect, the social interaction. And you see it in the thrill of victory and, dear God, in the agony of defeat. The worst thing to do is go to a British football match and the majority say that their team loses. Disaster. Not only do they unify in their tears and sorrow, but the aftermath, I don't need to tell you, destruction. And then we look at unity in terms of cultural interaction. Why is it that all of these big events always have an opening ceremony with some sort of cultural presentation or a closing ceremony with some sort of entertainment? Why? Why do they always throw that in there? Why is it that when we Barbados invite people here, we either have the tuck band happening or something going on, Mother Sally coming out or somebody with a costume? Why do we do that? Because at the end of the day, each country, they want to showcase who they are. And every country is identified by their language, their money, their demographics, and of course, their culture. Now, you usually have some, big hits when you have a production and you put that cultural display out there. But then as poor Paris showed us with their opening ceremony, some things are not always a hit because people don't always identify with what you might showcase as all of we. But think about it. Every time there's an event, we do something, and now we're going to look at that a little different. It's not just to take up a little 5 minutes while an activity is going on, but it's to show the world, the people who are at the event, what we have to offer. So cultural interaction is so critical and so important because it's not just about us turning up and performing and doing our best in tennis, in judo, in volleyball, but we want people to know who we are. When we show up as Barbados, as St. Kitts, as Dominica, comme Guadeloupe, Monsieur, bonsoir. That's the extent of my French, don't ask me anymore. But when we show up, we come with a pride with our colors because we are celebrating who we are as a people. So when now you're in the next opening ceremony, you will see it a little bit differently. You're not just there to look cute, but you are letting people into the world of what your culture and country has to offer. And then there's something about celebrating diversity. One thing I love about sport is that you will realize there's so much diversity. I saw a 100-meter runner, and I remember when he came out, can't remember the country he was from, but he was one of the shortest out there on the line. Bet you, my golly, wow, he was one of the fastest. It didn't matter the length of his legs. He showed up and he showed out. Then you see all the different persons with their personalities. I don't need to tell you about Noah Lyles. Nothing said there. But they come to the fair and they celebrate diversity. Some people will love some people will hate some people, but they're there. And the reality is that the gathering of all of them in one place makes it worth watching. As much as you talk about all the ego-driven athletes out there, you're watching them for a reason. They're providing you with some entertainment and something to talk about later on that day. And the beauty of the cultural aspect of it is that you see diversity. You can see a Sri Lankan team with, Eastern look, a darker skin tone. You can see Australia. You can see even mixed teams that are not national. You see with persons representing countries all over the world. No, it is almost as if they're a microcosm as what we would love to achieve when pageant winners go out there and say, I want world peace. When you see a team comprising men from different countries and they are happy, why can't the world just be like this, no? But sports is the one place that we get to achieve it. So that's where you see unity as well. National pride. Oh my goodness. It is so timely that the Olympics just ended, and I don't need to tell you, the beauty of the Olympics is whether you're an administrator, a coach, an athlete, grand, you are watching something. All of a sudden, I knew people that never walked around the block a day in their life, but all of a sudden they're gymnastics experts. Okay? They know about floor routines, they know about tumbling. I have been watching people who have never kicked anything in their life, but all of a sudden, they're sitting down watching, no, we're watching the football. We're getting up early to watch the football. Why? Why? There's something about the Olympics and these big games that make people feel happy. Why? But then we have to ask ourselves, is it you that's making us happy? Is it the outcome of the sport that's making us happy? Is it seeing the banner of our country that's making us happy? And a lot of people who are not necessarily sportsmen in and of themselves have a national pride. I remember recently when Shade Williams made the finals of the 400 meters, and let me tell y'all something. To make a finals at the Olympic Games in any event is an achievement in itself. You understand? The Olympics is where 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of the world arrives. And they don't all make it to the end. I didn't make it to the end. There are people who competed, got knocked out in rounds, didn't make it to the end. To get to the finals in any event at the Olympics is a mega achievement. And there we were around the island, sitting down. I couldn't get to the TV in time. I scotched up there by my phone. But guess what? We knew that we were watching her at the same very time. People who never went to an event in their life, but why she don't speed up around the corner? Never did anything with track and field ever, but all of a sudden they're experts. But guess what? For that day, there was a feeling of unity, a spirit of togetherness. And even as we watched the other activities, and forgive me, folks, for being biased towards track and field. Tennis, where's tennis? I love you too. Golf, I love you. Don't take it personal that they're all athletes up here, okay? Don't judge me. But remember when these athletes performed, and this is the reality of it, if there was no Beijing in the event, we were identifying with the next Caribbean person. True or false? So I there sitting down with my chest tight as Jamaica launching this discus. And as far as I was concerned, he and me and we all together. You understand? When Julian Alfred was running the 100 meters, all I was saying, Anybody but USA, come on, come on, come on, girl, come on. And I am up and I'm racing with this girl. Me, she, we, all of me together, right? And it was just a natural inclination. We had LaFang from Dominica, anybody that was Caribbean, we were there rooting for them. Why? Because of unity. They almost represented us by proxy. If we weren't in the race, y'all with us though, y'all represented us. You understand? So there's a national pride when these people hit the fore, and there's something that just stirs us up. Knowing too that in the Caribbean, we're small nations, we get to feel big, but for a moment, and identify with them. Symbols of hope. That's part of the nationalistic pride as well. Symbols of hope. There are some countries that have not seen a good day in a long time. There are some countries that are experiencing poverty, chaos, medical issues, everything wrong. But then guess what? Your countryman goes and wins a gold medal in something. What do you think happens? The whole country is like, ah! And for a minute, you forget your problems. For a minute, you come together, and this person is a symbol of hope. It isn't just about them getting a medal or a record, but especially let's look at, say, for example, Botswana. Did you all see the stadium full with all those people? And my man up there, like, I know he want inside a red, just like, But it was a symbol of hope. People felt hopeful. People felt like if it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. So here's the question. Whose role is it anyways? We get a sense of unity in different aspects. We've looked at the social interaction, which is the fun part for fans, athletes alike. I remember even at the Olympics when I caught myself and said, look, Sharita, let's make the best of it. I out there exchanging pins. I had a collection of pins. People, Vanuatu, I had to go and look in the atlas to see where's Vanuatu. But all of a sudden, I was linked to people around the world because we exchanging stuff. Every time track and field season comes around, I have this euphoria that I could actually run a 400 meters. Happens every time in the school sports comes around. And guess what? I dig up my little Cuba vest. I put on my little tights. I hit the track, and then I realize this is not going to happen. But then next week, I pull out the Jamaica shirt and the Jamaica tights, and I go to the gym because I said that's the one place at least that I could look as if I know what's going on. But imagine I have vests and leggings and all that, and one date myself from years ago, a couple years ago, right? And they still fit. But even in that, that's how I stay connected with the memories, the people, and life goes on. But whose role is it anyways to provide unity in sports? Food for thought. Let's think about it. Is it the playmakers, the administrators, the policymakers, heads of organizations? Because for us to go out on the field or the court, there are people behind the scenes putting everything together, making the trip happen, organizing the uniforms, coordinating with the other societies. Is it the playmakers? Is it their job to bring that sense of unity that we crave when sports time comes around? Or maybe it's the cheerleaders. What do y'all think? Is it the cheerleaders? Is it the fans who there supporting y'all that you're hoping come out and bring in their pom-poms and cheering you on? Is it the fact that St. Kitts is saying no next to St. Lucia, saying no next to Dominica? Is it the fans that bring that sense of unity to the playing field? Or is it the gladiators? And the gladiators, let me show you who these gladiators are. Who y'all think the gladiators are? Who are the gladiators? Let me hear. I can't hear you. The athletes. We use a nice, polite term, athletes. But maybe y'all are the gladiators. Maybe y'all are there for the entertainment of all. What do you think? Could it be that? That you are there to draw the masses to the field, to fill the stadia, to bring in the money. Have you all heard the type of money that goes around in NFL? I was watching something on Netflix and one guy renewed his contract for 4 years for just $76 million. Just 76. Huh? Oh my gosh. So let's ask ourselves, who is responsible for unifying sport? Who is responsible for pulling us into the stands, for getting us all excited, for setting a scene that we come there and we get this euphoric buzz, even if it's just for the next 2 hours? Who is responsible? The administrators would say, but it is I. Without me, there would be no event. Thank you. The cheerleaders would say, but without us, there's nothing. There's no reason for you to come out and play. But then the gladiators would say, but without us, what is there to even enjoy in the first place? So I beg you, putting that all together, who is responsible for fostering unity in sports? When was the last time you all came to a speech and the speaker refused to answer the question? But it makes you think. It makes you think. And I dare to say this, I believe that in the context of wider society, it is a myriad of efforts that brings the world together, even if it's just for one moment. That it's a synergistic sort of relationship in which we can't do without each other. But it forces you, whether administrator, coach, or athlete, that every time you get out there on the big field to perform, that you don't just see it as me, myself, and I, but you see yourself as part of something grandiose. I want you to see yourselves as bringing joy to human beings all over the world, because this world needs sport. Because the way we are going, if you were to take sports away, how this thing gonna work out? We all think, yeah, it won't be a pleasant place. So folks, I'm gonna leave you with that. I believe that sport is a powerful tool. It is a unifying tool in nations, in cities, and throughout the world. And I look forward to it blossoming. But as you go forth, now hopefully you will understand why you are participating. Not just because you love playing volleyball, not just because you love the camaraderie of all the others on the field, but because you see yourselves as part of a much bigger picture. Thank you so much.